Okay guys, Brent Hull here at Winterthur. This is video 4 of 5 videos that we're doing on the pre-industrial era in America, Georgian high style, Georgian low style, federal high style, federal low style, and Greek revival. So today is federal low style. What does that mean? Federal low style would be federal era houses, so 1780 to 1820 houses that weren't necessarily the cream of the crop. Houses that were built during that period of time that maybe just weren't, the ultimate examples. There are things that I want this whole series to do is inspire you to build better. And so oftentimes we don't know, and certainly a lot of manufacturers don't know what Georgian or federal is. Going through these videos, you will actually understand the differences between those. So you won't do raised panels during this era. You won't do mantle shelves. Those are things that are in the Georgian period, right? So we're going to dive into this federal period. We're going to look at these kind of simpler federal houses so that you can be inspired, so you can help your clients build better and then elevate your game as a builder and as a craftsman. Okay guys, so we're in a federal room. This is 1794, this is New York, okay? We've got this wonderful mantle and door header. Notice this room in general, there's not full paneled walls that we saw in those Georgian and earlier rooms, just a simple chair rail as it goes around this room. And then the decoration and detail shows up in things like this mantle, that mirror certainly, but the over mantle or over door header on that door. These are typical federal elements where you have exaggerated frieze and then the decoration inside of that area with the swags and the urns and details we've seen quite a bit because they are very popular in that era. Now, where did those come from? Well, they saw them in Pompeii, right? As they cleaned Pompeii and they saw the way the Romans really lived, they realized that the decoration they had been using in the Georgian era becomes neoclassical, right? It's this, we call it neoclassical, called Adamesque in Britain, where Robert Adam was the architect and had discovered and been to Pompeii. But the decoration completely changes. And look how small and dainty that cornice is, right? That is a very small cornice detail with the beading and the just small dainty elements. So this is a classic federal room. Very simple on the walls, a lot of detail and ornamentation. Notice no overmantle. They've got a mirror there, but there isn't an overmantle. Some of the better door headers at Winterthur, in my opinion, right? This beautiful column, this fluted column that goes up and then supports the entablatures that goes across there. Great details all here in the Fife room. Okay guys, another great room, Winterthur, 1802. Right? And this is a unique room because you have a number of different things going on. The fact that this room is fully paneled, as you may have understood, that's oftentimes a Georgian era detail, right? That you don't see full paneled walls all the way to the ceiling. You'll see wainscot, you'll see chair rail, but you won't see a full panel wall. But notice too the way the panels are done. We just looked at Cecil, the bedroom, which is on this same axis, early 1734. So we're 60, 70 years difference between the two rooms. And what's happened, we've gone from this Georgian raised panel to this federal flat panel. And so not only do you see the federal flat panel, but they've also added that other ribbing, okay, or what I'll call it as another molding added on top of it. Kind of reads like a raised panel, but it's not. So these rooms aren't as heavy. And oftentimes when we're doing new houses for clients, the Georgian can be too heavy and thick, whereas the federal tends to be lighter. Now, the other thing that's happened is you'll see kind of clear classical rules for organizing the space in that you see that little area down there kind of reads as a pedestal. And it is kind of that lower, the chair rails connected to that. And then you've got the two panels on top kind of read as a column. And then you've got a full entablature that wraps around this whole room. So you've got the architrave, the frieze, this really big cornice. So again, this room isn't completely canonical, right? It doesn't come straight from the pattern books with all these perfect details and everything. But it is unique and creative and fun. You've got a mantle with an overmantle. Again, that is not typically something you see in the federal period. That's something you see in the Georgian era. So there's a mix of different styles here, and it makes it fun. Part of that narrative that happens with each house, that there's a story, that there's a craftsman that was reading from something, or the homeowner really wanted this other detail in there. And so the point of Winterthur, in my mind, is for you to come visit and you come be inspired, because Too often, guys, and gals, we are picking from the same pattern books. We're picking from the same molding catalogs, and we end up with things that are a little bit boring and stale. And when you come here and when you see the variety that was happening in America from the late 1600s into the 1850s and 60s, you see this incredible amount of variety that's here that's so fun to look at. Okay guys, so penny packer. This is Pennsylvania, early 1800s. This is one of my favorite rooms, and one of the things I love about Winterthur is the inspiration and just variety of detailing that you see. Remember, in the Federal period, the decoration is very light, okay? The Georgian period is often thick and bold, and the Federal is much more subdued. But in this era and in this time, you're seeing how the moldings shrink in size, but you still, I don't know what exactly to call it. It's subtle detailing, but it's a reading that you're going to see over and over in the mantle, in here, in the panel, right? In the panel of this door, we got a wide panel. It's mortise and tenon and pegged. You have this reading that goes this way. And if you don't know what reading is a convex shape, right? It's like the top of my fingers, right? And then a concave would be like a fluting, right? So it's very subtle detailing that is used as a banding material, right? It becomes, here's your pilaster. It not only is the capital of your pilaster, it's not only the moldings in your pilaster, it is the pilaster, right? And then we've got this band that comes across and it's reeded. If we go over and look at, this piece here, this pilaster is fluted, but you see they've got this gouge carving down here, which is kind of typical in that Federal period. And then look over here at this fireplace. It's kind of country to me, right? It's kind of, it's not something you'd have seen in the pattern books, but it is a decoration that a craftsman would have gotten excited about and would have done. But what's interesting to me is you have these reading that goes down for this pilaster. And then in here, there's a kind of these elliptical circles here that all the way they've done it is they've done a little gouge carving in that reed to create these patterns. And so within the top part of the neck of this column, there is this little gouge carving that's fun and inventive, and I can see the craftsman. I doubt they saw this in a pattern book, right? This is something where a craftsman is inventive and thinking of ways to elevate his mantle, right? You've got the reading that's kicked at a diagonal and then kicked at another diagonal as it wraps around, right? All these fun things. And then this one here, right? Look how small that is, right? There's just a little sunburst right there up in the corner. And so I get excited about this room because I think a craftsman must have gotten excited about building it, right? He must have put it together, and the way he organized it and put it and executed the work comes across as very charming to me. So Federal period, I wouldn't necessarily call it, true Federal styling, but it's of that period, it's of that spirit, and it's just wonderful details. Okay guys, what'd you think? Amazing stuff, right? Those architectural details in there are the cream of the crop. They're the finest things from the past, right? That we can learn from today. If you're a builder wanting to build better, if you're a homeowner wanting to build something beautiful, an architect, a craftsman, in here you're gonna find great details, whether it's Georgian, Federal, or Greek Revival. So thanks for joining us. I'm Brent Hull, and thanks for watching.